The events of Destiny. So far in this series, we've largely covered events that take place in the past of the Destiny universe, with the intent being to ease viewers into this universe's concepts instead of dropping them in headfirst and having them be overwhelmed. But now, with a better understanding of the various people, places, and things within, the time has finally come to dig into the events of the first game, 2014's Destiny. Centuries after the collapse, the player character is revived by their ghost amongst the old ruins of Old Russia. Finding themselves deep within Fallen territory, the player is guided by their ghost to a nearby ship, and they make their escape to the last city, where they meet the Vanguard and, more importantly, the Speaker, who interprets the will of the dormant traveler. The Speaker briefly explains the situation to the player, and that the forces of the darkness are on the rise again, with humanity on the brink. It is up to the Guardian to do whatever they can to protect the last city. Within the ruins of Old Russia's Cosmodrome, the player establishes communications with the rest of the solar system by reactivating Rasputin, a Golden Age AI known as a Warmind, who was once responsible for the defense of mankind. At the same time, they discover that the Hive, long thought to be contained to Earth's moon, have returned to Earth and are preparing for an invasion. Traveling to the moon, the player puts a stop to the Hive's plans and encounters a mysterious exo-stranger who warns them of other threats out in the solar system, telling the player to meet her again on Venus. There, the player discovers the Vex, a machine race seeking to integrate themselves into the very fabric of reality. This, of course, involves exterminating humanity. The exo-stranger tells the player that the only way to stop the Vex is to enter a place called the Black Garden, which exists outside of normal space-time, and destroy its heart. Unfortunately, she is unable to fully explain the situation before disappearing once again. The player seeks the aid of the Awoken Queen, who tells them how to enter the garden using the eye of a Vex Gate Lord. For this information, the Queen claims that the player now owes her a favor, and that one day she will call it in. The entrance to the Black Garden is located on Mars, deep in Cabal territory, but the Guardian is eventually able to enter the strange realm. At the center, they find the Black Heart, which the Vex are worshipping in hopes of using its power, but the Guardian destroys it. Just what the Black Heart was is still unclear at this point, but it was most likely some aspect of the darkness that was separated from the whole. The Vex, who were worshipping it, are actually a small subset, called the Soul Progeny, and are considered to be crazy even by Vex standards. This concludes the events of the base game. It's been said that the plot of Destiny was originally quite different, with many of its pieces rearranged at the last second for some reason or another. Because of this, the base game story is not particularly well told, throwing concepts at the player left and right without really explaining much. However, with the universe now established, Bungie was able to flesh out its various aspects with future expansions. The first of these was The Dark Below, wherein Eris Morn seeks the help of Guardians to stop the Hive on the moon. Sometime before the game, Eris and 5 other Guardians ventured down into the Hive-infested tunnels of the moon in an attempt to assassinate Crota, a powerful Hive Knight who was responsible for killing thousands of Guardians. Unfortunately, this mission was a complete failure. Eris lost her ghost, and with it her ability to use the light, surviving for years underground only by using the Hive's witchcraft and tactics against them. She even replaced her own eyes with those of a Hive acolyte, giving her a distinct three-eyed appearance. Eris eventually escaped, but was treated as a pariah upon her return to the city due to her dark knowledge and obsession with the Hive. However, she was eventually able to convince the player's Guardian to help her in stopping the resurgent threat of Crota. It turns out that Crota was, in a way, already dead. However, the Hive had found a way to separate their souls from their bodies by hiding them in another dimension, the Ascendant Realm. Only by venturing into the Ascendant Realm and destroying the soul could Crota be truly killed. Hive magic and lore is worth its own video, but suffice to say, the Guardian was successful. Soon after these events, the House of Wolves, the fallen house that the Awoken Queen had conquered, staged a rebellion against their masters. Their leader, Skolas, was attempting to unite all the disparate fallen houses once again under his banner, declaring himself the Kell of Kells. The Queen called in her favor with the Guardians, opening the reef to them and asking for assistance. By the end of the Wolf Rebellion, the majority of the fallen houses would be decimated, and Skolas killed, returning control of the reef to Queen Mara. This victory was short-lived, however. Crota's father, Oryx, god king of the Hive, arrived in the solar system, destroying the Awoken fleet and apparently killing the Queen. Using powers gained from the darkness, Oryx was able to dominate and corrupt other alien beings and make them subservient to him. They became known as Taken, with Oryx being the Taken King, and the conflict known as the Taken War. Working with the Hunter Vanguard Cade 6 and Eris Morn, Guardians were eventually able to board Oryx's flagship, the Dreadnought, and face the Taken King head-on. During this time, we learn much more of the nature of the Hive and the Darkness, and after a long conflict, Oryx's soul is destroyed, and the Taken King is no more. However, his Hive and Taken forces remain, leaderless but no less dangerous. Later still, on Earth, the fallen House of Devils would accidentally unearth the ancient nanotechnology Siva. Using it, they were able to modify and enhance themselves, and eventually sought to become machine gods with it. In the past, the Iron Lords had been all but wiped out by the destructive potential of Siva, and their last surviving member, Lord Saladin, rallied the Guardians to wipe out the nanotech once and for all, and begin a new generation of Iron Lords. Destiny 1 ends on a high note, both in terms of gameplay and story, with the Guardians standing tall amongst their enemies. Much like the base game story, I realize that I've thrown a lot of viewers in a small period of time, and it's understandable if you're feeling a bit lost or overwhelmed. I'll be digging deeper into many aspects mentioned here in future videos, such as the Warmind Rasputin and the history of the Hive, so hold tight. For now, let this video act as a taste of what the Destiny universe has to offer, with plenty more on the horizon.